What if I told you the world's first true financial empire wasn't built by a king or even a country? It was built by a family, a dynasty whose weapons weren't swords or soldiers but ledgers and loans. A family whose name became so powerful it crowned popes, influenced wars, and created tools of finance we still use today. That family was the Medici. The Medici Bank wasn't just another place to store coins. It was a machine that pioneered modern banking, credit, accounting systems, international transfers, financial engineering. And in less than a century, it proved something the world had never seen. Money could be a source of power greater than politics. But it also revealed the dangers, greed, mismanagement, corruption, the very same forces that bring down banks centuries later. This is the story of how the Medici created the first financial empire, how it worked, and why it collapsed. Florence, Italy. 1400. A city alive with trade, spices from the east, wool from England. Merchants shouting prices across crowded squares, money changers weighing gold coins with suspicious eyes. Commerce was booming, but the system was fragile. Moving money across borders was dangerous. Lending at interest was banned by the church, and banking relied more on personal trust than reliable systems. Enter Giovanni di Bici de' Medici. In 1397, he opened the Medici Bank. Giovanni's edge wasn't force, it was reputation. He ran the bank fairly when others cut corners. In an economy where trust was the currency behind the coins that mattered more than gold. Soon merchants and politicians lined up to deposit their fortunes. Then came the Medici's most powerful client, the Catholic Church. Here's where Giovanni changed finance forever. The church condemned usury, charging interest. But at the same time, it needed money. Huge sums for cathedrals, crusades, and papal politics. Giovanni created clever workarounds. Instead of interest, he disguised returns as commissions, currency exchange fees, or service charges. On paper, the church's hands were clean. In practice, the Medici made a fortune. This was the foundation of financial innovation, turning rules into opportunities. The Medici expanded quickly. Branches opened in Rome, Venice, Milan, Naples, Geneva, Bruges, and London. These weren't just outposts, they were a connected network where money could flow across Europe without physically moving. Their most important tool, the letter of credit. Imagine you're a merchant in Florence. You need to pay a supplier in London. Carrying gold across the Alps means robbery is almost guaranteed. Instead, you deposit money at the Medici branch in Florence. They hand you a piece of paper, a letter of credit. You travel to London, show the letter at the Medici branch there, and withdraw the money safely. That innovation cut out the danger, sped up trade, and made the Medici indispensable. In many ways, these letters were the ancestors of today's checks, wire transfers, and credit cards. And with every merchant using Medici credit, the family wasn't just moving money, they were moving trust. But the real genius was scale. Each branch kept detailed records using double-entry bookkeeping, a system still used today. Every transaction had two sides, debit and credit. This made fraud harder, accounts clearer, and growth possible. The bank's design also spread risk. If Bruges struggled, Rome could keep the system stable. If London suffered losses, Venice could cover them. This diversification looked modern, almost like an early multinational corporation. By the 1430s, the Medici Bank wasn't just Europe's largest, it was Europe's financial backbone. And then came Cosimo de' Medici. Cosimo wasn't just a banker, he was a strategist. He realized that lending wasn't just about earning interest, it was about leverage. Through carefully placed loans, he financed kings, dukes, and even popes. Every client tied to the Medici by debt also tied themselves politically. Repaying wasn't just financial, it was survival. When rivals tried to destroy him, Cosimo was arrested and faced execution, but the city couldn't afford to lose him. Judges, officials, and even guards were linked to Medici money. Within weeks, Cosimo returned from prison stronger than ever. He had proven a dangerous truth. In the right hands, finance was more powerful than government, but finance is a double-edged sword. The very innovations that made the Medici strong, far-flung branches, international credit, reliance on political clients, also made them fragile. In London, the Medici lent heavily to the English crown. When the king defaulted, the losses rippled across the bank. In Bruges, managers speculated recklessly in the wool trade. When the market crashed, the Medici branch there collapsed. Corruption seeped into the system. Local managers skimmed profits, falsified records, and gambled with Medici money. Oversight became impossible. By the late 1400s, the empire was bleeding from within. The final blow came in 1494. The Medici Bank, the largest, most powerful financial institution of its time, collapsed. But here's the thing. The Medici weren't finished. Even without the bank, the family transformed wealth into political and cultural power. They became dukes, queens, and popes. They funded artists like Michelangelo and Da Vinci. Their influence outlived their financial empire, and their banking innovations never disappeared. Letters of credit, double-entry bookkeeping, international branches, strategic lending to governments. These were the building blocks of modern finance. Every time you use a credit card, transfer money online, or deposit into a bank, you're using tools first scaled by the Medici. But their collapse left lessons too. Don't overexpose yourself to sovereign debt. Don't let branches speculate recklessly. Don't allow corruption to rot the inside. The same lessons banks failed to learn in 2008. The same risks haunting global finance today. The Medici Bank was more than history. It was a warning, a reminder that money can build empires or destroy them overnight. And if you think the Medicis were powerful, wait until you hear about the Rothschilds, the family who took the Medici playbook and scaled it across the globe. That story is next.